Today, I integrated a Paystack using that of the Laravel, and I'm actually basically using the latest Laravel to be able to build that. And this is probably the easiest or the simplest way to actually integrate that of the Paystack using Laravel, and then we are basically using the latest version. All right, so we are going to be using something like Gauzo so that it can help us manage the version controls and some dependencies. All right, so it's going to be a very simple thing to actually build, and I'm going to show you that in this video. So I built it. So first of all, let's demo the integration or the script that we just kind of built. All right, then after that we can now go into building the application up by ourselves in this video. So this is probably the easiest way to actually integrate that of the Paystack payment gateway if you are using something like Laravel, right? So I built this using Laravel, HTML and CSS, and I want to demo this for you guys. So let's say we select these details right here. This is the full name, and we do have the email and then the phone number right here. So let's say I want to pay something like 5,000, and I want to hit on where it says proceed to payment. So you see that the payment has just begun. So if you've been looking for a way to integrate Paystack using that of the Laravel, especially the latest version of Laravel, you can actually learn that in this video. So if we hit on the success card right here, now we hit on pay, and this is just basically like filling in your card details. So you see that the payment goes through and it's going to redirect to our success page. So this is our success page. You see that the name that we fixed in there, the name that we filled in there is right here, the email address, the phone number, and even the amount that has just been paid together with that of the reference for that particular payment. All right, so if you want to make another payment, you can hit on make another payment right here. It's going to take you back to the payment page. All right, so I'm going to show you how to actually do this. We do have if I open this page up right here, you're going to see that this is just for the documentation page for that of the Laravel, and if we scroll down to that of the PHP section on this page right here, on this section they do have some Paystack packages that you can actually use. We do have Cake PHP, we have Cashier Paystack, we also have Laravel Paystack right here, and which if you take a look down here, this is the Unicode developer Laravel. This is the one I actually attempted to use, alright. But the last time this was actually updated was in 2022, alright. So it's a kind of outdated, and you are going to be having some compatibility issues with that of the latest Laravel, alright. So I have the page. I think I got that opened right here. If I refresh, you see that you can actually get that particular Unicode developer from this page. If you want to maybe manually install that, you can click in here and then find a way to download the zip code and then include that, or you can actually go to the integration down here. So if you run this code, not that, but right here, you're going to see that you're going to actually be able to kind of install your Unicode developer, which is just a package for that of the Paystack. All right, so but I do figure out a way to actually do this. Of course, if you make use of this, you're going to run into a lot of issues. All right, so I figured out a way to actually be able to integrate the Paystack directly within my Laravel project. All right, and I use something like Gauzo to be able to do that. All right, so that we won't actually have any issues with compatibility issues like the version control and all of these version dependencies. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. All right, so the first thing I want to do right here is to find a way to first of all install Laravel. All right, and to do that, I like to show you the environment that I'm actually using right here. So this is actually Laragon. All right, so if you want to use something like XAMPP, I do also have XAMPP right here. So if I open this up, you see that I do have XAMPP right here, but what I basically want to use in this video is this particular one called the Laragon. All right, so if you want to download and then make use of Laragon, that's completely fine. It works just like that of the XAMPP, except that all these latest versions of PHP are actually embedded in this particular one. All right, so I was finding it difficult to be able to like make use of latest Laravel and the latest PHP versions to work with that of the XAMPP. All right, so that's why I downloaded Laragon 2025, and this is just the version 8 point something right here to make use of that. All right, so if you have that and you have that launched, we can make use of its internal terminal right here. So if I hit on this, you see that it's just basically going to open this command prompt up, or this command, the Laragon command interface or terminal right here. All right, so all you need to do right here is you want to go ahead and then create the folder for this first of all. So if I go to, I would like to like go to, so if I get into my hard drive right here and I open that up, I want to look for Laragon right here. All right, so if I open Laragon up, and the host location for Laragon is actually called a www right here, so I want to open that up. And if I have that opened up, this is actually the first one that I just showed you right here. But I want to create a new one right here, which is just basically the one I want to work on. All right. So I'm gonna just kind of call this we're gonna call this Laravel. All right. So the first one is actually Laravel Pay, but this one we're gonna just basically call this Laravel right here. So this is the folder that I want to make use of. So if we go back in here right here and we want to install our Laravel right now, so to do that is really very simple. So now before we do go through the installation right here, there is a tool that is actually called a composer that we need to make sure that we do have that installed on our computer. All right, so I'm going to do a composer right here. I basically want to check the version, so I think I have the latest version. So if I do that V right here and I hit enter, you see that I do have like the latest version of a composer right here. So if I go a little bit up right here, you see that this is version 2.8.4 right there, and that's just basically the latest version. So you want to check to be sure that you have this. If you don't have Composer already installed, you want to go ahead and then first of all install Composer first of all. So if you go to your browser, you want to make sure that you kind of look for that of the Composer right here. So let me show you the website. So if you go to getcomposer.org/download right here, you're going to be greeted with this page right here, and you can download the latest version right here. Look at it, Composer, that's set up. You get it downloaded and then make sure that you set that up. All right, so that's just one of the tools that you basically need right now to be able to continue with it. All right, so I'm going to close this right here or minimize that, and then if we go back to our terminal right here, and what I want to do first of all within this place is to find a way to a kind of install to go ahead and install that of the, so to install that you're going to just do Composer and you're going to just say create dash, this is going to be project, and you're going to just do / and you do Laravel, and after that you need to name the folder, which is basically the folder that we just created right here, which is Laravel. All right, so that's just basically telling it where you want that to get installed into. All right, so this is going to be Lara. This is what I think we'll call that Laravel. All right, so that's, I think we made a little mistake in here. We need to have Laravel here. This is going to be Laravel and /Laravel, and then we'll have a Laravel right here. So this is just basically the location that I do want this to kind of get installed into, right? And I hope that you guys are kind of seeing that. So if I hit enter right here, let's see what is going to basically happen. All right, so as you can see, the installation is actually going through. So it's creating the Laravel package for us. All right, so I think the installation is going through and it's actually downloading some dependencies right here. See the framework and the rest of the things that is just basically trying to download right there. All right, so this is going to take a little while to finish the downloading, so I may have to just pause and come back at a later time. So the installation is completed. If you take a look at that, you're going to notice that it's really completed right now. So it took a little while to be able to like download and install all of these things that we do have in here. All right, so but it's successfully installed right here. So that's why you can get this information right here. Application key successfully, the application key is successfully right here. All right, then if you look down here, you're going to see where we'll have a warning in here. So this is just talking about if you have a database that you are going to actually kind of go through migrations, you need to create a database. All right, so you can use something like SQLite or something like MySQL. All right, but I'm not going to use a database in this. So what I'm going to do is just I'm going to basically go ahead and then disable this at a later time. But for now, to check our installation, we can just cd into that particular folder. So if we do, first of all, if we take a look in here, if we open this up, you see that quite a lot of things actually showed up right here. All right, so you can have a lot of things that have kind of showed up right here. So but if you want to see into that, you can also do that. So you can just do Laravel right here and then open that up. You see that you are now into that particular directory. All right, so whatever you want to do right here, you can actually continue from this particular point. All right, so and of course, if we try to maybe serve this right here and to serve that, or maybe try to open that up with what is it called, maybe within your browser, you can do PHP, or you just do artisan and then you do something like serve right here, and of course we should be able to like, okay, we have gotten, you can actually go and then view that particular application you have just created right here following this particular link right here. All right, And we also have another wave. So if you don't want to maybe go through all of this right here, I want to copy the URL that it has given me right here. And then if I go back to the browser, I want to go ahead and paste that right here. Maybe we'll at a later time we'll fix that. So let's open this up, and I believe this is going to give us an error on this page. And as you can see, it's just talking about the database, and that just coming in connection with the warning that we just kind of got down here, which I showed you before now. So what you want to do right here is to first of all, we look for a way to make sure that we disable the SQL, the database connection right here, so that we can actually go ahead and then be able to see something reasonable on this page. So to do that, if we go back in here and we just want to open up this particular file that we have in here, which is .env file. So I want to open that up with my Visual Studio Code, and let's go and then open that up with I want to repeat this. So I just basically what I want to do is just once I right click on this, show more option, and then I want to go to open with Visual Studio Code right here, and that's just basically going to open up right here. So I want to edit a little some few things on this particular page right here. All right. So now that this has been opened right here, what I want to do is I want to change this to null, because I don't want to use, and this is actually kind of already commented out, which is just basically fine right there. So I want to make sure that we keep that at null, and then have this money sign in front of the rest of the code that we have in here to make sure that that is actually now at the moment. And then here where we'll have the session right here, so just basically want to change this to file instead of setting that to database. All right, and then the next thing I want to change is, if you take a look here where we'll have queue connection, I want to change this to something like sync. All right, so we'll have sync in there, and then catch right here, I'm going to change that from what it is right now to something like 5. All right, so remember, we change this to sync, and then we change this to file right here. So for this mem cache right here, I think we're not gonna, let me just comment this out. We're not gonna need it. So this is gonna be a hash sign in here. So add a hash in here. Just basically want to make sure that I kind of comment all of them out right here. All right, so we do have that commented out. So I think that just basically the only thing that we need in here, we're going to come in here and then add our Paystack credentials at a later time. But let's save the changes in here first of all. So with what we have just done, we've been able to like disconnect that from the database. So if we go back in here and then we'll go back to this page and then refresh, you should be able to have the normal installation. It kind of come up like this. All right, so as you can see, we now have the clean installation come up, and we'll have this right here. So the next thing we can do is either get rid of this or create a new page that we can use, or we can call that something like routes or views, all right, to be able to bring up the payment page, all right, which is just basically what we're going to do next. So just like I said before, that we are going to basically use make use of a guzzle. This is actually the right time to do that. If you want to use all of these packages that are actually here and you're actually familiar with that, that's just fine. You can go ahead and use that, but I don't want to like be having issues with something like version control and some sort of stuff like that. So I'm going to try to make use of something like Guzzle to do that. So if I want to do that, what I want to do is, if I go back to my terminal right here, and I want to go ahead and let it install the Guzzle. All right, at first I want to be sure that I'm actually within the environment. Sorry about these guys. So if we get in here right here, so once I get into this environment, what I want to do, let's use Composer to do this. So if maybe I think I need to like stop the server first of all. Someone just do Control C to stop the server, and next thing I want to do right here is I want to just do Composer. So if I just do Composer right here, and I want to just do require, and this is going to be Guzzle right here. So I'm going to do Guzzle http / and we're going to just do Guzzle right here. All right, so with that we should be able to do that. So let's press enter right here. All right, so it's just getting the Guzzle for us. Okay, so I think that that just has just gone through. So I do have Guzzle already on my machine right here. That's why it's actually kind of went so far. But if you do not actually have, it may just take a little more time to be able to like complete this. All right, so now that we have successfully installed this, I think okay, we just installed the Guzzle HTTP right here, which is basically what we're going to be using for our API calls. What I want to do is that I want to create the Paystack file. All right, so I want to create a Paystack service file, and to do that, I'm going to basically put that in this app folder right here. So what I want to do, I think it's necessary I open this up with my Visual Studio Code so that it should be easy for me to create. So let's open this up, and I don't know whether it's really opening that up on a new tab, but that's just fine. So what I want to do is that within this place right here, I want to create a folder in here. And I'm going to let's go ahead and just start that with a capital letter, guys. So this is going to be services. All right, So we'll have that services right there. And then within this services folder right here, let me create my file, which is basically my Paystack file right here. And I'm going to just call that Paystack, all right? And I'm going to just call that maybe Paystack service right here. And it's going to be .php, all right? So that's just basically what we'll have in here. So I want to open that up. And we're going to basically come back to this at a later time to add some codes in here. But what I want to do first of all, let me make sure that this, I want to close this. Okay, this environment is also still open right here. However, what I want to do right here is I want to add my Paystack credentials down here. All right. So to do that, let me just basically put a comment in here and just say add. If you have something like, of course, you're going to actually have those. You need to enter your Paystack keys within this particular place right here, both your test keys and your live keys. All right, depending on the environment you want to basically operate on right now. So that's just basically what I want to do. All right. Now to do that, I basically have my own copy to the clipboard right here. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here. All right. So I do have my public key as the first line in here. And this is my secret key. And basically this is the test environment, right? And I will have the Paystack payment URL that we can just basically go ahead and enter this right there. Then after that, the email that is associated with your Paystack, you can actually go ahead and enter that right there. All right, so let's be sure to save the changes in here. We're going to, like, once we get into the new file we just created, we're going to just a kind of a look for ways to like grab onto our secret key right here to use that for the payment that we want to basically implement. All right, and I hope that you guys are kind of getting what I'm actually doing here. So if you're having any issues, you can go to the comment section and then drop a comment in there. I'm going to respond to that. All right, so the next thing I want to do right now is to work on the Paystack file that we just created. So if we go back to our folder right here, which is actually app, I think I already showed you guys that. So right here, and we just created this, and we want to work on this particular file right here. So that's just basically what I just did. So I just have the whole folder called the Laravel opened in Visual Studio Code. So we want to go into this folder right here called services, and then open up the Paystack service that we just created, all right? And it's completely empty. So what I want to do is I want to paste the code in here because typing that is going to take a lot of time, right? So if I scroll to the tab right here, all right. So once you have that pasted on this page, and if you take a look in here, we're just making use of this namespace right here for that of the Paystack service, and we are making use of the client Gozo HTTP, which is what we're basically using to be able to like make communication with that of the API right here. And then I do have a class that I actually kind of called a Paystack service in here. And of course, you should understand all of the things that I did right here. So I'm trying to bring in the service key within this particular page right here. So we do have a constructor right here, and what we're basically trying to do in here is to be able to like grab onto the base URL, and then we're setting up the headers right here, which we're basically getting the secret key in here, and we're setting the content type, just the basic things that we normally set if we are just a kind of trying to access that of an API. All right, so down here what I have in here is just to like turn off the mandatory SSL, right? And this particular line right here, you should actually turn this to true if you are actually online. All right, so the reason that I have that to set to false in here is because I'm actually offline and I do not actually have HTTPS enabled offline right here. And after that, we just trying to get the secret key from the config file, which we need to open this up and take a look at that as we move along. All right, so we do have down here, we are just trying to initialize the payment in here, and this is the URL for the payment initialization, which is transaction/initialize, and we'll pass in data down here as a JSON. So that just basically we're converting everything to JSON object in there. So on this line, we are just basically trying to get the body that's just basically coming from the response. So if everything works just fine, we want to make sure we convert it everything and then put that in JSON decode. All right, so that's just basically what that is. Then down here, we are just trying to verify the payment, which we're going to make use of this particular URL right here. So that's going to be paystack.co/transaction/verify, and I want to pass the reference. All right, so that's just what we use today, identify the unique payment, and after that we convert into JSON right here. So to make this a little bit clearer, where we're actually getting all these keys right here, we're getting that initially we're just getting that from the .env right here, which I believe you already know that. I was actually showing you that. So we're getting this from here, but on getting that from here, we need to go through the config file, the folder, right? So if you take a look at our structure right here, there is a folder called a config. If I open this config up, and I want to open up this file that is actually called the services. So it's really very simple. If you take a look at the major thing that we got right here, we do have all of this in here. So you just basically need to open up config, and then you need to open up the services. That's just basically what I'm doing right here. All right, so let me open up these services right here. And this is basically what we have in here. So if we run the code in here, it's not going to actually work because we haven't actually set the credentials, those keys that we're just basically making use of right here. We haven't actually set that up in the services right here. So I would like to like put that just maybe after this, just a few line of code. So I'm going to just paste that in here. And this is it, guys. So we do have that will be an error, guys. So I think we need to like put this in an array, and to do that, what we basically want to do, all right, so I think what we basically need to do, this is going to be an array, and I need to like close that array down here, and then I want to separate that with a comma in here. So this one is really different from the one that we got right down here. All right, so if you hit in here, you see that we do have this in here, but then if you go a little bit up right here and I hit on this should be the major array that we'll have on this page, which should be closed down there. All right, so that is just that. So this one is also different, and this one is also different. So but this is the major thing that we need right here. So that's just basically how to get the data from this particular page onto this page that will go right here. All right, so make sure you save the changes in here, and that should be able to like start getting all of the things that we kind of try to get right here, like the secret key right here. All right, so with that being gotten out of the way, the next thing I want to do is to create a payment controller. And if we want to do that, that's just going to be found in the app folder, and then we'll go into, I think we'll go into the HTTP right here, then go into this particular one right here called a controller right here. So we're going to just basically be able to create that within this controller. So if I take a look at the structure again from here, see that we want to open this up, and they want to open up HTTP, and they want to open up controller. So it's going to be created within this particular directory, which we're going to do in the GV. So right here, what I basically want to do in here first of all is to make the controller. So let's do that right here. This is going to be PHP, and we're going to just do artisan, and we'll do make the colon right here, and we're going to just do controller, and we want to go ahead and name the controller right here. All right, so in our own case, it's actually going to be called a payment controller. So we'll do payment, and then we'll do, let's make sure I type that correctly. This is going to be controller. All right, so we're going to just go ahead and then type that within this particular place, and then hit enter, and let's see whether it's actually going to create that for us. All right, so if you take a look at that, you see that the payment controller has been created. That's what we have our info right here, and look at the location where that was actually created, which is just basically where I just showed you right here. So if we go back in here right now, you see that that file has been created right here. You see that? And if you also take a look in here, it should have also come in automatically within this particular page. All right, so if you open that up, this is just basically what we have in here. So what I want to do is just basically add a few lines of code within this particular place right here for us to be able to get our controller. So within here, it's going to just basically be a bit of a lines of a code in here. But first of all, let me bring in the app services right here. So this is just the Paystack services. I need to grab onto this, and I believe you remember when we created that, which is the Paystack services, and you know the things that we're going to just make use of quite a lot of things in here. So if I open that up, you see that we do have our secret key and then the rest of that in there. So within here, I'm going to just put, it's going to be quite a bit of code right here. So I'm sorry that I'm going to just copy and paste the code in here. All right, and then of course we're actually going to go through it to explain that. Right here, I'm just going to do this is going to be payments. So I was just basically trying to put a comment in here. So this is going to be controller, and I want to go ahead and then paste some lines of code in here. All right, so let's tab this over, and I'm going to paste that right here. All right, so I have that kind of placed on that particular place, and if you scroll to the tab right here where it began. All right, so to explain this, of course you understand what this is right here. So but down here, I'm creating a function called a show form in here, and we're going to basically go ahead and create a view that we're actually going to call a payment at a later time. That's just basically what I'm doing right here. And then after that, if we go a little bit down, you see where I'm just trying to initialize the request, and basically we're going to need to like grab onto the person's name, email, phone number, and then an amount right here. All right, so that's just basically what I'm trying, and I'm trying to like validate all of these fields within this particular place right here. So after that, this is just basically the data that is just getting sent to that of the Paystack. All right, and we'll have a payment, a callback URL right here, which is just, we're going to just basically call that a callback URL right there. So we're going to just basically call that a callback in there. All right, so we need to like return to our website after we make the payment. If the payment was actually successful, we need to return back to our website. So that's just basically what we're doing. We're going to create a route for that called a callback. So after that, we do have we're trying to grab onto the data right here. This is the authorization URL they can actually go to make the payment, and we're just trying to initialize the payment. That's just basically what that means. And down here, of course, you understand this. This is just trying to make a callback function right here. And we're going to use a method called a request method in there to be able to do that. And then down here, I'm just basically trying to test the application out right here. You can just change this at a later time if you want to. So let me change this to my phone number right here, 047, and this is going to be 164748 in here. All right. So this is just a test user. And if we get down there, right here, we're grabbing onto the payment details right here. All right, so that's just basically what we're doing right here, to grab onto the payment details. And it's really simple, right? So, and down here, we're trying to grab onto the reference. And once we grab onto the reference, that's just basically what we're going to use to like verify the payment, if it was actually authentic or not. All right, so down here we're just checking the status. All right, if it was actually success that was found in the status, what do we basically want to do? So if it was actually success that was found in the status, we want to redirect to a view or a page called a success. All right, and then when we get in there, of course, we're going to print out the all of this data that we have in here, which is going to be the name, email, phone number, amount, and then reference. All right, so that's just basically what that is. So here is just for the redirect right here, the redirect route, okay, in case the payment did not actually go through. So if we found something like failed in here instead of success, we want to redirect to this failed page. All right, and then we'll pass in that particular message in there. That's just basically what that is. So let's save the changes on this page, and the next thing we're going to actually do is look for ways to create all of these routes that we have in here, or pages, which is success. We also have another one right there, okay, failed page on the even the payment page. All right, so to be able to make the payment, that's going to be a route that we're going to create to basically make the payment. All right, so now if we want to create our route, we can go to, let's go to our routes folder right here. So if we look for routes and then open this up, and I want to open up web.php, and we can go ahead and enter our routes down here, right? So we can actually get rid of these or just try to repoint it to another page, but I just want to leave that in there, right? So I create a new route in here. I'm going to just put comment in here and say add new routes, and this is just basically for the form that we're going to use for the payment, the form that collects data. So I want to paste like 3 lines in here. All right, so we need to create this particular folder, and once they get into it, we want to be able to show this particular form in there. And after that, we can create the payment page right here, or the route in there, which we're just basically using payment.initialize. And then here is the callback function for the route for the callback function. In case we get any errors, we want to go ahead and display the error message in there. And that is just that. I think we need to link to the payment controller here. So I want to do that just right after that arcade routes in there. So let's put that in here. So we're making you have just bringing in the payment controller right here, so that we can actually have access to those things that we're trying to make use down here. All right, so that's just that. We need to save the changes on this page right now, and then the next thing we need to do is we want to go through, we want to create the views right now. And to create the views, you need to go to the resources right here, all right, so that we can create this folder, and then as well create this form right in there. So if we go to resources, you want to go to where we have views, and within these views right here, I think what we need to basically do is to, once you open the resources right here, we want to go ahead and then open the views, and then within the views now, we want to go ahead and then create a folder called a payment. So I want to do that right here. So this is going to be, let's go ahead and just call that payment. And remember that if I get that created, this particular folder right here, if you check our directory right here and open up the resources, it's going to get created within this particular place right here. All right, so we are going to basically be using a Blade template engine right here. So if we get this selected right here, which is a folder, I want to go ahead and hit in here, and what we want to do, we're going to just do form.blade.php right there, and then open that up. So we're going to basically make use of this as the payment page for the form. All right, so we can put our HTML templates in here or boilerplate, and we're going to edit what we have right here in a little bit. So the next one I want to create right here is actually going to be the success, which is basically called a success.blade. So let's go ahead and do that. So call this success.blade, and it's going to be .php right there. All right, so we have that in here. We can still also generate our HTML boilerplate within this place. So if we get in here called a form.blade, we need to change a couple of things on this particular place right here. So we could just call this something like payment form, and with that, it means that we're going to just basically go ahead and then put the payment form on this particular page, which we can do within the body right here. So let's put the form in here, guys. So what I want to do, I want to create something like a div in here. So I'm going to just do div, give that a class, and basically we're going to just call this something like let's call that a payment form right here. So this is going to be payment dash form, and we can go ahead and then we kind of go ahead and terminate this particular div in here. So when we get there, get down here, we want to close the div. Then we're going to go ahead and then write whatever we want to write within this particular div that we do have right here. So I want to throw in my h2 in here, which we're basically going to still call the same thing. Maybe let's just call this place something like payment. This is going to be payment details or something of that nature. All right, so let's close out the div, I mean the h2 right there. And then down here, what I want to do is to go ahead and then create the form that I'm going to just use. So this is going to be form, and I'm going to just give that an action. Let's set that to be equal to, if we go to, actually if we go in here, okay, we're using this, I'm going to make use of this as the route. So if we go back to the form in here, I want to go ahead and then make use of that particular page right there. So to do it, it's really very simple. I'm going to throw in my curly brackets in here. Now within this place, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do route, and let's open a bracket, and then within this place throw in our quotes, and then paste that, which we just copy to the clipboard in here. All right, so that is just what that is right now. Next thing is to set the method. So I'm going to just do method right here, and this is just basically going to be a post method. So let's do that, and we have that right there. So let's close the div down here. Let's make sure we add closing quote in here, and go ahead and then close the form. All right, so we have that on this page right now. And the first thing I want to do right here, I want to just, first of all, I want to bring in so let's bring in our cross-site request forgery right here, which is going to help for the protection of some of the data that we're actually going to be getting. So this is going to be SRS, I think it's actually called a CSRF, like that. So we have at CSRF, which is actually basically called a cross-site request forgery, which is going to help us protect our data on this particular page. All right, and the next thing I want to do right here is to create the first input. I'm going to put that in the div, and this is going to have a class, and let's say that the class is going to be form group. So let's put that, I call that form dash group. And then the next thing I want to do in here, I want to just basically close this div down here. So this is going to be div, close that out. And then within this particular div right here, what I want to do is to go ahead and then let's go ahead and create our label first of all. So this is going to be label, and this is going to be for the full name, and we can close out the label from here. So if we want to add a for attribute, that's fine. So we can just do for, and we can go ahead and just say something like name right there, right? So let's say name within this particular place, and that is it on that particular line. So the next thing is to go ahead and then put the input field. So I'm going to just do input, and the type is actually going to be set to something like text. So we do that right now. So this is going to be text. Let's make sure I type text correctly. And after that, the next thing I want to do is to create a name for this, which we are basically going to call a name. So let's set that to name. And after that, we set an ID. You can still set that to the same thing, which is actually called a name. And then after that, we can make that required so that people will kind of always fill something into that particular place. All right. So that is just what it is right now. So we've created the first field, which is just mainly meant for the person's name, the full name. All right. So what I want to do is to copy the rest of the fields and then paste that right here so that we can speed things up a little bit. All right. So I do have the rest copied to the clipboard. So I want to go ahead and paste that right here. All right. We just kind of began from here, trying to bring in the email, and I'm bringing in the phone number here, and then lastly this is the amount that we just brought in right here. And then we do have our submit button that we kind of added down here. All right, so I think that's just basically what we need on this page. I want to go ahead and save the changes right here. And as far as the CSS is actually concerned, we are going to have to add the CSS maybe up here. All right, but I'm not going to just spend my time typing out the CSS. What I want to do is go ahead and then let's try to bring in the CSS. I'm going to just copy and paste the CSS within here. All right, so I do have the CSS copied to the clipboard. Let me go ahead and paste it right here, and I like to show you the whole CSS. So we just typed the body right here, and then the payment form and the form groups, and down here we also worked on the label. This is the input field, and this is the submit button right there. So if you take a look at that, you see that it's really very simple. So you can pause the video to type them out, and let's proceed. So I'm going to save the changes in here, and then the next page I want to work on is actually going to be this right here, which is just the success page. All right, and it's really very simple. What we need to do is to just try to display the content, whatever we got back from the payment page. All right, actually before I work on this, I think we needed to like check for error on this particular page. All right, we need to check for an error, and we need to do that just before the form right here. So just within this particular thing that we're having here, just right about, well, after we worked on the h1 right here, I mean the h2, we need to check for an error. So I'm gonna just do at if, so if we got any error. So down here, what I want to do is I'm gonna just, let's create a div in here, div, and it can have, let's give it a style of, we'll try to just change the color of the text to something like red. So I'm gonna just do color right here, and we can set that to something like red, and we can set a margin. So this is gonna be margin. Let me make sure I type margin correctly, and we'll go ahead and set that to, maybe it's gonna just basically be a margin bottom, right? So let's do bottom right here, and we'll set that to be equal to something like 15 pixels. So let's set 16, I mean a 15 px right there, and that is just that on that line. So I'm gonna close the div in here, and then down here I'm gonna just do div and close that. Then within this particular place, the message that we basically want to display can actually show up right here. So I want to put that in something like ul. Let's tap this a little bit over. All right, so this is going to be ul right here. You can close the ul, and so right here we're going to just do use a for each. I'm going to just do for each. I'm going to just do here is going to be errors, and I'm going to just do, and we'll go ahead and say as, and we'll go ahead and just do error right here. All right, so that should just basically kind of do it. Then if we want to spell out the message or the error, we can put that in a list. So this is going to be li right here, and we can go ahead and try to print out the message in here. So I'm going to throw in my double brackets in here, curly brackets, and then within this place right here, I'm going to just go ahead and echo out the error. So this is going to be error. Sorry about that. So, and we can go ahead and then close out this right here. So this is going to be li, close that right there, and we can go ahead and end the for each down here. All right, so if we want to end kind of end that right here, we can just do at and for each like that. All right, and we can come down here and we can go ahead and then do at and if, just to end the if statement that we got up there, or that we opened up there. And I think we need to like have this outside, so this isn't supposed to be in this place, so it should be just right outside here. So that should just basically do that for us on this page. Then for here, I think I'm just basically going to copy and then paste the what we need to have on this page right here. So right on this page right here, I want to highlight everything that we have right here and then paste what I just copied to the clipboard. And I want us to just take a look at that. Almost the same things. We also have a title of payment successful, and then we'll have our styling here. All right, so just basically styling the stuff right here. So we start the body, we start a div that I'm going to just basically show you within the form that we just kind of call the success container right there. This is the h1 on the page, this is the details, this is the detailed items, and then we'll have the label right here, the detail labels, and then finally we'll have a button that we are going to actually set in such a way that we can still go back to the payment page. So here is the HTML right here, the title, I mean the h1 in there, and we do have, I think I've already shown you the style up there, so you know about that. So we'll have a thank you message right here, and this is the div for the details right here, details, items, and detail label. And we're just basically bringing in the name in here, so we're dynamically grabbing onto the name, and down here we're dynamically also grabbing onto the email right there. The same thing applies for the phone number. So if you take a look at that, you see where we're bringing in the phone number right here, and then finally the amount right here, which was just a kind of a setting to 2 decimal places right here. That's why I added that 2 in there. And this is the reference. We'll grab onto the reference right here, and finally we have this right here. So if you want to make another payment, we can go back to this particular route called the form by clicking on this particular link that we just have right here. And that is just that, guys. So I hope you kind of understand that, so you can go through the code and then make sure that your own looks just the same way that mine is right here. So you can actually style this your own way. Right, you don't have to have my own style. So make sure that these changes are really saved, and we can go ahead and then test this out. Right, so if we go to our browser, I want to open up my browser right here, and we want to go to, I'm going to just do a / payment right here, just to go ahead and see if we can grab onto that particular payment, that particular form that we created rather. All right, so we do have an error right here. It says something like a syntax error, unexpected token right here. So we need to find out why we have that error. So if we check we need to check the form.blade to be able to find out why that error is actually right there. All right, so right here, and if we check get down a little bit here, and we are just simply working on this right here. So it's getting an unexpected token right here. Why is that? All right, so I think there's a mistake in here, and that's just basically coming from this particular place. I want to cut this, and this just needs to be on outside. So this is just basically that's how that should be. So I don't know if that is actually why that error is really showing up there, because I kind of took a look at this and that part was actually kind of highlighted right here. All right, so if you take a look at that, so if we refresh again, let's see what is going to basically happen. So let's just basically refresh in here. And I think that's just where the error is actually coming from. So we see that the payment page, it kind of comes up and we can fill the form out. So let's say that this is going to be code at code kinder right there. And I'm going to just do, maybe this is going to be code at code kinder. And let's put a phone number here. So it's going to be maybe right here. And I want to just do something like, let's say 400 this time around. And let's go ahead and hit on where it says proceed to payment. All right, so I think the payment is just opening just fine. Look at the phone, the email we entered, and this is the amount we entered, and we're basically on a test mode, of course. So we can hit on the success page here, and I hit on pay, and if the payment goes through, it's going to try to redirect to the success page right here, and it's really working just fine, guys. So this is just the details of the payment that I've just gone through, as you can see that. So if you want to make another payment, you can hit it here, takes you back to the form here. So you can fill this with another message, another details. I'm going to do Eze Adam, and let's say that this is going to be Eze Adam at gmail.com. You can put his phone number right here. So we're going to just basically make up a phone number for him, and then right here we just going to just say maybe something like 15 naira, right? And then let's go ahead and hit. I think 15 naira should be too small, so let's do 100 naira and then proceed. All right, so it goes through Adam at gmail.com. This is 100 naira, and you can go ahead and hit in here and hit on this. You can go ahead and test other situations for this particular payment in there by yourself, right? So this is just how easily you can actually integrate out of the Paystack using Laravel, all right? And this is the latest Laravel, guys. So if you want to do that, that's completely up to you. And you can let me know what you think about this particular tutorial. So this is just basically the first time I'm touching that of the Laravel. So I never used Laravel before, but I'm just doing this for the first time, and I think it's really a little bit kind of easy. Maybe at a later time when I learn it more, I'm going to just maybe offer more explanations for the things that I'm actually doing. But for now, this is just what it is, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching, and for those of you who may also want to like see the data, like put all of these things into a database, it's also possible. All right, so you can re-enable those data that were kind of commented out earlier, and then be able to maybe migrate and do all of the things that you really need to do to put those data into a database and then save them for future use. But for now, this is just what it is. Thanks for watching, guys.